Hello, everyone. Nice to have you here. This is another webinar session dedicated to OnyxData and ZoomCharts monthly data challenges. This month we will be focusing on Paralympic data. So I think it will be a really nice story to show and tell in your reports. Today we will first of all, of course, look at the data itself. And I hope to focus on two things today. I really want to show you some tips and tricks how to build interactive reports. And taking into account what kind of data we have this month, I really want to bring into spotlight the drill down map pro, because I think it's going to be a nice thing to have in your report. And there's a lot of configuration options you can use to showcase the data very nicely. And of course, at the very end, you will have a Q&A session as well. But I really would like to encourage you to ask questions, not only at the end of the session, but also during the session. In this chat section we have in this webinar tool, you actually see there are two sections, chat and Q&A only. So if you have specific questions for me, please type them in Q&A only. That way I will be able to spot them a bit easier. Otherwise, it can just get somewhere lost in the overall chat. So quick introductions as well for those who are newcomers and haven't met me before. My name is Una. I am a product lead at ZoomCharts. And today I will step into the role of Power BI developer and really share some tips and tricks and basically, and most importantly, ideas how to tackle this data set we have this month. For those who are newcomers, we will quickly just go through the registration process and explain how to submit reports, so you'll know how to do that. Let me quickly share the screen. Yep, so for registering, so first of all, you need to go to the ZoomCharts website and navigate to the drill down visuals for Power BI section. Go to the challenges, and you will see the available monthly challenges. We offer more than one. So for the OnyxData, this is this one here. You should open it and you will see a registration form. So first of all, once you register, the first step is creating an account. So just simply creating an account won't get you registered yet, but this is the step you need to do. I already have an account here, so I'm just gonna sign in. Yeah, and I have been doing some testing here as well. So I will just remove this so you see the initial screen. Yeah, so and as a newcomers, you will have, first of all, the one submit, well, sorry, not the submit, but the register button. So that's the one you need to click. So once you are registered for the challenge, you will have access to the drill down visuals developers license. So with this license, with this sort of username and password, you will be able to log into Power BI and you will have access to all ZoomChart visuals full features as well. And once you're ready to submit a report, this is where you can do it. Just fill in the form, attach the Power BI file, and basically that's it. Once we receive your file, the system and the report team will validate the report, and either it's going to be accepted or rejected. Either way, if you want to approve something or to submit a new report, you can submit as many times as you want until the deadline passes, of course. Yeah, so there are no limitations for that. Whenever you see some place for improvement, you can simply do that. Once you are receiving, so once you get your submission accepted, you will also receive a feedback from us with some suggestions how to improve your report. So if you want to do that, you can you are welcome to resubmit the report. And also with this email, you will receive a link to an option to register for individual consultation sessions with my colleague 𝗂𝗽𝗱. So please feel free to use that option as well. It's really helpful whenever you have some, specific questions or you get stuck somewhere in configuration. So that's something you can use as well. So let's go back to the slides. Yeah, and just one last thing from my side regarding the participation. So these individual consultation options is not the only support you can receive from us. Of course, there is documentation for our visuals. There is a lot of previous webinars. There are a video academy. So lots and lots of resources you can use to build when you are using our visuals and building reports. But also, please feel free to write to our support as well. We have email support, we have chat support. So we are really here to help you guys and learn and grow and build really great reports. So the dataset itself, I hope you have already had an option or time to go to the website and download the dataset and look at it a bit. But generally, if you haven't done it yet, so it's an information about results of Paralympic Games. So you will have you will see there sort of your regular sports data, the winners, medals, what countries participated in which games, where the games took place, and so on. But what you can take from this really it is not a business data set, right? This is something that general public would be interested in. So that's the target audience you should focus on. What kind of data the general public would like to see there, what kind of stories they want to read. And I think that from this perspective, there are definitely two musts that you do in your report. So you need to compare games, right? I think there was data from starting 1960, so really long period of time. So comparing games over this period of time would be a nice thing to have. So for example, comparing what kind of sports were included in each of those. And of course, comparing countries, which were the best in different sports, which ones got the most results, most medals, and in which years, and so on. So I think these really should be your two key things to focus on. And since this is a data set for public and it's kind of, general interest and fun thing to look at, I think it's a really good idea to try and make this report as interactive as possible. And this is where ZoomCharts visual is going to come in handy, right? Because that's why they are built for, to create really interactive reports. So when we look more closely at this data set and sort of with a more technical eye, you will see there are two Excel files, not one. So it's really up to you how you decide to use them, whether you use one or both. I will try and use both for this report. But this is also kind of, at least I think, it's a bit challenging data set because there is a lot of data cleaning to do. Well, first of all, it's a historical data, and as it is with historical data, very often some data is not available or missing. Then you will also have to take into consideration that there is the geopolitical situation has changed over these years. There used to be Germany was used to be split into two countries. So in this report, you will see a country name like West Germany, which is non-existent anymore. So you need to decide, how to deal with that, how to visualize that in a map, for example. There are also games where they were located in two locations, so two cities, not one. Again, a little bit of challenge. So these kind of things, that's something that you need to really keep your eye on when you're working with dataset. But I don't think it's something that you can handle. It just takes a little bit of attention and probably a little bit of Googling and simply deciding, okay, how do you want to deal with that particular situation? Because there's not a one answer for that. I mean, you can simply decide to, just rename the West Germany to Germany and add some notes in the report. Okay, this is what we do for the sake of data visualization and stuff like that. Or you can try and visualize that with historical location as well. So it's really up to you. And there's also some discrepancies in data when you compare those two Excel files. It's simply because so in one of those files, there are all the medals that were received in different sports, and the other file includes the ranking for those sports. Sorry, for the countries and for sports as well. But the approach, how the ranking was calculated and how the number of medals were calculated differs for those both files. So again, it's a decision for the report maker, what to do there. So that's what we're going to be dealing with today. So, and let's then start. Let's start with trying and loading the data into Power BI. Let me switch my screens. All right. So we have Excel files. Let's try and load them. I'm gonna load just the first one for the beginning. So let's just try and load and see what happens. Yeah, so and this is what we get, right? We get our first, well, not the first error, there's a lot of errors, but basically the first error message. So let's go and see the errors. So, and let's see where we have our problematic columns. So we have games start and games end dates. So that's where we have a lot of errors. So that's something Power BI can digest right away. And for some reason, it doesn't like the athlete name as well. So what we can do here? So actually, the first thing before I tackle those errors, and we will tackle them, there is one more thing I want to deal right away, just to make sure we don't have that error later on. And as you can see in the dataset, there is this game, one of the games that took place in two cities. So I want to deal with this situation right away, because otherwise we won't be able to visualize this later. And because it's two cities, there are other empty columns, right? Like city, latitude, longitude, the same as the country. You can't determine one country for that and stuff like this. So the way how I'm choosing to deal with this is simply I'm gonna replace this with just one city. And afterwards in the report, you can just simply add a note, or you can create a different column with extra information and include that later on in the tooltip. That for the simplicity for data visualization, I'm choosing to exclude that and that. But so in that year, the games took place there, right? Let me just filter out these rows. Yeah, I'm sorry. I just need to switch the table actually, so I don't do it in the errors query, but the actual one. So we have city somewhere here. Yeah, we need to load all the data in. Yeah, so that's right. Yeah, so you can see how many entries are here actually with that situation. So, and I will deal with this actually very easy way. I'm just going to replace this one. Form, replace values here. I'm sorry, this. So I'm just going to use New York. Okay. So here, now we should, yeah, my mistake. I need to remove the filter, otherwise I won't be able to go back to this. All right. So let's wait for this to update, and I think now we have everything. What did I do there? Did I place it incorrectly? Yeah, right. Just like this, right? Yeah, this is where you need to be very careful usually. Okay. Yeah, so now it's all taken care of. So let's move on to problematic columns. So game start and games end. So what happened here actually is that once you load in the data, right, the Power Query is trying to make things easier for you, and it attempted to replace the values with actual date. But if you go a couple of steps back, you see there's no date. The date of the year of the games is available in a different column. So here, Power BI really did to us a disadvantage. So I will remove this step. Hopefully nothing else will break. And deal with this differently. I will actually create a separate date column, because I will want to use a timeline later on in a report. You can actually, if you don't want to use a timeline in a report, you don't need to do that step, because there is a year column and you can use just that. Yeah, but I will need the full date column, so that's what I will do. So, and in order to do that, I need to actually extract, right, from the game start date. I need to extract the date separately, and I need to extract the month number, and then I can actually construct the full date here. So let's do custom column. So this is going to be date, and I'm going to use text before the limiter. So we need the game start. Okay, I just need to do this. Start, and I need to show that the delimiter is a space. So this is what I'm doing here. Yeah, so I have a date and it's going to be a whole number, of course. So then I need to do the same for the months. But here I'm going to use a bit different approach. If you don't know the Power Query, if you don't know the M language, there's a great option that you can use. It's column from examples, where you can actually just type in the result you want to get, and the Power BI will try automatically to understand what kind of formula it needs to generate. So where do they have this start date? Game start, right? So I will want to have a 10th month. So, and this is what it tries to do. Let me choose. Yep, it's all correct. I think we can use this. So we have a month's number, and it's a number. And now we have date, we have months, we can create the actual full date. This is going to be full start date. Gonna use this function date. I need to add games year. I need to add months number, and I need to add the date. Wait. And it should be done. Let's see if it works. Yes, and let's do date. So now we have actual full start date column. So we can remove anything else that is not necessary for this case. I can remove the month, the date. I don't need those columns anymore. Let's remove the actually problematic columns, which was start and end of the games. Again, if you need these columns, you can leave them. Just change the data type to text, but I don't need these, so I'm going to remove them. So we have this, and then the problem was also the athlete name, right? If you take a closer look at this, that you will see that it looks like this column was also generated from this one, right, with some kind of text split function, and it's not really looking that good in terms of how it has been done. If you go through the whole column, it's it's not really showing the data the way it could be shown. So either you can redo the column the way so that names and surnames look better, but in my report I will be using actually the full data from this column, so I'm just going to remove this so it doesn't cause any problems. So what else? Since we are removing data, you can go through the table and just look at these things and decide, okay, I'm going to use this report or not. For example, here we have an event venue column. There's a lot of missing data, right? There's only like almost 40% of data is missing. So it's probably not something we can useful. That's not going to be useful for the report with so much missing data. So I'm going to remove this one. And hopefully I have dealt with all the data issues right now. And I can close and apply. And let's see. If all is working or not. So errors, let's see. I probably missed something here. Let's see what it says in the errors. Yeah, for some reason it doesn't like my start date. I will be skipping this step, guys, because I kind of expected that might be some problems might be coming up. I I kind of repeated all the steps I was doing before, and today it's producing error. Yesterday it was going just fine. So just to save some time so we don't get stuck here, I will be skipping this, but because I have a report there that is actually working. But yeah, I would probably just need to revisit my steps and see if maybe I made some mistake here. Yeah, yeah, I get it actually. Maybe we have some time to revisit this here. If you remember, the games with 2 locations, it actually has 2 dates somewhere as well, and that's the one thing I forgot to fix. Maybe we can do it here then. Okay, I removed already those columns, but let's see. Game start. If we load all of these, yeah, this one. Okay, let me quickly. I will try and fix this very quickly. If it works, then fine. If not, we will move on. Because honestly, we don't have that much time to cover everything. So let's copy this. Let's remove the filter. And let's do replacing, which I actually think I need to do this here before I need to add that step here. So I'm just going to take the earliest part of the date. And let's see if that worked or not. Yeah, I probably missed it somewhere, or maybe you just need to do it in the right, correct order. So, but yeah, this is what you're going to be dealing with in your report. So I was happy to show you what kind of errors you were going to get. So I'm just going to skip to the version of the report where I have all of this in order, and it's actually also a glimpse of what we're going to be building today. But before we can build this data, build this report, the other step you will need to do is, or at least I would suggest to do, is to split all this big data table into smaller tables and build a data model. And I will quickly switch the screens just to show you what I'm kind of thinking there. So where I have my presentation. Yeah, this one. So because if you look at the data there, you will see that the way the table is built is that there is a record for each medal, for each winner. But it also means that there's a lot of duplicated information included in those rows. For example, for each game, the number of participants per different sports, the number of countries participating, they have sort of duplicated the information in each row. So if you leave it like that and you don't build a data model, you will have to and either navigate this with very complicated access, or if you ignore it, you will end up with simply incorrect data, incorrect formulas. So what I suggest to do is splitting all these different columns and rows into 4 different subtables. So, and what I did for this particular report, I created one for Olympic Games, one for sports, winning athletes and country rankings. So just to give you an example again, I'm gonna switch back to the reports. So let's take this one. So the end result's going to be looking like this, but if we go to the data model, I'm just going to show you a couple of examples what exactly I did there, so you kind of not getting confused. You can actually see how many errors I got yesterday when I was practicing with this data set. So cleaning data is not easy, and it's always not clear, what exactly is happening there. But with the help of Google, you can solve a lot of issues. So this is the original table. It's loading a bit. Yeah, let's wait just a moment. There is quite a lot of data there. Yep, let's refresh this. So we have, yeah, so this is already the end result here, but what I did really is I did sort of create a duplicate of the original table. And first of all, to create a simple table for the games and including all information that's related only to games. So I removed all the columns that is not necessary for that part. So let's see, we have games, city, we have games code, we need all that, we need continent, season. But then basically starting with sports, that's the part we can remove. Except the full start date. So let's just remove these columns. And once you have only game data, simple way to do this is remove duplicates. So here you have sort of something similar to dimension table with just games information. You can also see, so this is these were the games with 2 locations. So there's still latitude and longitude empty. So we can fill those in very quickly. I have the copy here. Let's do this. Okay. We have latitude and we have to add longitude as well. So you can look this up in the Google. It's really not an issue. And the same for the latitude. For the country, I mean, the first one was for the city. So now we have the full data set here. Great. Right, and something similar I did with the rest of the tables. The only thing to keep in mind is when you're doing sports and athletes, the games code is not going to be enough later on to create sort of decent relations and data set that makes sense. So you will need to create another index, which is sort of, you need to put together the games year and the game sport code, or the sport name, doesn't really matter, to have proper sports for each year. And otherwise you will get just the unique names of the sports if you don't create this one, and then you can sort of remove duplicates by this column. So that's the same for sports and athletes. Yeah, for the rest as well. So I'm going to close this now. And in the end, what you will get data model, but you will have to adjust the relationships because again, Power BI is trying to help us, but very often it just creates relationships that are not fit for the use case we are trying to build. So so for example, right now it created a relationship for original table, which I don't need. I will remove this, and actually I won't gonna be using this in dataset, so I can hide it. But yeah, make sure you connect the right columns to create data model. So sports to games, at least to sports, and later on also rankings to games. In the process, I created a couple of more tables, and we will get to them and explain why. Another thing to keep in mind regarding the relationships is to make sure you set them to both if you're creating similar example like I'm doing here, because I want I want to be able to filter data in both directions, right? So I want to, if I create visuals, I want my sports data be able to connect and filter games table and vice versa. Otherwise, if you leave this one directional relationship, it's going to be working just into one direction. So, and I think now we are done with data cleaning. There are probably going to be more surprises on the way. I definitely didn't tackle all the problems we had in the data set, just the ones that I spotted right away. But now we are ready to build our report. And we have reached the stage where we have to think about, okay, what I want to do here, what kind of visuals I want to have. And this is the point and time I want to say, this is where you need to think, how interactive the report is going to be. And when you think about this interactivity, well, there are a couple of things and points I want to share with you. So first of all, of course, this is why we are having even ZoomCharts challenge separate. This ZoomCharts mini challenge separate from the OnyxData big challenge is because the aim of these mini challenges is to help you guys try and build something better than Power BI native experience, and that's why we are having ZoomCharts visuals. That's why we have this product. That's why it's built for, is to bring this interactivity. So you kind of take the Power BI reports to the next level. So it's not about just including ZoomCharts visuals in any kind of report. That's really not what we're aiming for. We want to help you, start thinking differently. Start thinking in a way, how you can make this data exploration experience more accessible, more fun, more interesting for any user. Either it's a public user or it's a business user. So by using ZoomCharts visuals, you can really build these interactive reports. But there are a couple of things you need to keep in mind. So first of all, as I mentioned, it's not about just replacing native visual with ZoomCharts visual. You need to think about different layers of data. What kind of drill down levels you will create, how these one visual will filter the other one. So think about that. And most importantly, when you kind of build this interactivity, don't repeat the same data in every visual, because I mean, it's very easy to create sort of drill downs by putting the same data column in or columns in each of those visuals, but that's really not the point. The best experience will be if you really think about data story, and each visual, each interaction helps to uncover either new insights, or you drill deeper into different categories and subcategories. But don't do that. Don't include the same categories in all visuals. Otherwise, it's just it's kind of pointless, right? When you think about interactivity, it's not just the charts you can use. You can, of course, use drill downs and cross-site filtering. that is provided by the charts, but there's also bookmarks, there is information overlays. You can create tabs, different helpful tips and tricks for users. So use all that's available in Power BI. It's not just visuals, it's everything else that is built around that as well, which really brings the interactivity to your reports. And the reason why I actually spent so much time on this data model and showing you how to clean the data, it's and how to build that model. It's because if you do it incorrectly, the cross-chart filtering won't work correctly. The DAX formulas won't work correctly, and the drill downs even won't work correctly. So having proper data model is very, very important. So, and I see there are a couple of questions, so maybe let's handle them before we start with building visuals. So in 1984, the date of start and end date is odd. So maybe you can just comment a bit more, what is odd. 1994. I'm not sure I will be able to locate it quickly right now because I have cleaned the data out. Is it necessary to split the data into various tables? No, it is not. As I mentioned, I think it's a better approach for various reasons. First of all, you kind of get the clarity and you structure the data, but it's also building a proper data model that deals with data faster. Otherwise, you have this big table, and in some cases, especially if you will have some DAX formulas, it's just going to behave much slower. It's sort of optimization of your report, but it's not 100% necessary. If you think you can deal with this as it is, feel free to use that way. So this is just my suggestion to you guys. So right, so that's for the data and data cleaning and interactivity. So let's try and build something. So as I mentioned, okay, I need to switch again so you can see my screen. Yeah, this is something that we're gonna attempt to build today. I don't know if we will be able to cover everything in the time we have, but either way, you will have this sample report afterwards available. So don't worry if you don't cover anything. I already mentioned that I think the map visual is something I want to feature here because we have a lot of geographical data. So yeah, we will cover that during this tutorial. But let's start building from scratch. Yeah, I will use this template. So I will structure this report similarly how I structured my data tables. I will have one page for game overview. I will have one page for athletes and medals, and then I will have one for country rankings as well. So for the first page, the first thing I want to add here, the first thing I want to add this report is actually the timeline visual. I think it has been featured a lot probably in our previous webinars, but so today I'm just going to build it visually a bit more differently than usually, I guess, but the underlying principles stay the same. So I want to show, in which years what games took place. So I'm gonna add the date here first. So given that this is not business data where we analyze something by quarters, I'm not gonna need the quarter step, so I'm gonna remove it, and let's add so this date itself. And here for the series, I want to add the games. So one thing I can add here, right? I can just add the game code and basically count it, and I will have, how many games were in each year. But the trick is that in some years there were summer games and winter games, right? So you can handle it differently. I could add, for example, a legend field and split this by season. But that's not, I don't like the the end result right now, since I'm not really analyzing quantitative data. I just want to show something on timeline. I'm gonna use a different approach here. Let's use, so I already previously created a simple measure here that's gonna count how many winter games you have and how many summer games you have. And I'm just gonna add this in each series, right? And now the customization part is gonna start. So first of all, I will do this. I'm gonna customize the series. I will say that it's a line, but the line width is going to be 0, but I will add a marker, right? So this is how I kind of get a dot in each year. So, and this is, these are winter games, so we can leave it blue. I don't like that particular color. Let's change it to something like this. And then for Series 2 configuration, we can do the same. Line. So line width is 0. Outline marker is going to be circle. And so let's change the color to something warmer, right? So now I have winter and summer games. But again, in 2002, I think, or somewhere we had 2 games. So I don't like how they arranged. I kind of would like to have these in two different axes, so it just looks a little bit better. So I will turn on the secondary axis. Now I will say that for the series 2, for the summer, for example, I'm going to use the secondary axis here. Right, and the one more thing to do is just to adjust axis a little bit. So let's say I want to, sorry, not the x-axis, but y-axis. I want to, let's say, the step be 3 here, just for example, or maybe 2. So you can really just play around with this and decide, with what works best for you. And I'm gonna actually turn off the axis itself because I don't need a number, right? I just want to put a dot in the specific year where it's available. So you can experiment with the toolbar. Also, you can turn off, things that you don't need. I can put it outside. So it just works a little better. We're definitely not gonna be needing linear, logarithmical scale, that sort of stuff. So here we have a decent event timeline. And it's interactive, of course. You can drill down to a specific year and see in which months it happened, which months was when the games took place, and also the same for the date. You can add labels and or whatever, so all sorts of stuff. Let me add a reset button here, so when I do something, yeah, I can just go to the beginning here. Oh. Good. So I have the timeline now. So now I want to add the actual map visual with the cities where the games took place. So for that, we're gonna need latitude and longitude. So for games, city latitude, city longitude. it's up to you, how you can customize this. You can add name as well. One thing I want to mention here is, so the map visual is also built for interactivity, right? And all the ZoomCharts visuals work in the way that first you kind of get this big overview stuff, aggregated data, and then you can drill into details, right? And the same for map visual. By default, it clusters all the points, sort of the closer placed points in one big data point, and showing the how many data points are under there. Once you zoom in, you kind of get to the details, right? But this is not the effect I want in this particular map, so I can go to the node settings and turn that option off. So you're gonna get clustered nodes. And now it's again a game of customization. Let's say I want them to be smaller, so I don't want them to be smaller than 10 or bigger than 10 points. I can probably use some different marker here. So let me quickly see it. I don't. Yeah, shape droplet is probably a good choice here. And another thing, so since we have winter and summer games, right, I kind of can have this color coding here in the map as well, and that can be achieved by dropping color field here, and that's what I did in the games table here. I created a measure that simply says if it's a winter, show me this color code. If it's a summer, then this one. So, and I will go and drop this in color. Game season, no, where is color? Right here. And now I go to settings and switch color mode, not from the auto. So it doesn't, auto means it takes color from the default color scheme, but I'm gonna go with dynamic. So right now I have color coded cities as well. Let's put something like this. I'm gonna enable outline as well. Let's put something like this. And here, I don't really think I need data labels here, because I'm gonna use a tooltip here, and I'm gonna customize it a bit more. So I'm gonna turn off these. So, but in the tooltip, I want to show a lot more information, right? So, and for the tooltip field, so first of all, you can go to the tooltip settings and turn off latitude and longitude, because that's really information we use, to place the points, but it's probably not really interesting to the public to see, right? So we can turn this off. And we can add data we actually want to add there. Let's see, we can probably add the city name. We can add country, season. I think that's it for this. Well, you can also add start date if you want. So we have this. I had city twice. What is it taking? Oh, it's taking already this one. So we can remove this one. We have this information. So we can probably add year, right, as well. So we can have games here as well. Now it looks decent. We can add decent names. So we're gonna rename these fields. So it's gonna be year. It's gonna be country, and it's going to be season. Right. Yeah, and this is the point where I actually think, I really would love to show more information here, but it's not in the data. So, and I had this idea, each games have their mascot, right? And since the number of games, it's not really that much. That's an information that is easy to look up and create separate tables. So that's what I did. And this is also what you can do with your own report, bring in data from outside, some additional data, additional context, whatever. Another idea I had, but I'm not going to do it today, but in general, the great way to compare countries, for example, is not just to show the number of medals, but for example, calculate some kind of index showing medals per 1,000 citizens, for example. And that's another thing you can easily find on internet. You can find how many people live in each country, bring that into Power BI and create this kind of context for the data as well. But for the mascot, yeah, this is what I did. I simply brought in additional data. Well, for some games it was not available. They didn't have mascots at the very beginning, but later on they have this, and you can also bring in links with the map visual. So let's add that information as well. So we're gonna have a mascot and link to mascot. Let's just rename this. Right. So now we have more information. You can go to Wikipedia and read more about this. So now we have our map visual. One more thing I would like to change, I guess, is how the base layer looks for this. So for the map visual, it's built of sort of multiple. It can be built with multiple layers. So there is the base layer. So what is shown at the very bottom of the top of the map. So this right now it's OpenStreetMap, but I'm gonna choose none. But I'm gonna choose none because I will use a shape layer. I'm gonna turn it on. So the shape layer, it's again sort of additional layer you put on top of your base layer, and you can split territories in different regions. So we offer several built-in shapes. So we have world, Australia, Great Britain, and USA. But you can also bring in your custom shapes if you want. For this case, world is more than enough. I can also customize this. Let's say I want it to be empty. I want a different outline color, something like this. So, and I have my map visual. Yeah, so, and for the overview, for the report, for additional interactions, I probably need to bring on a little bit more of information about the games, right? And I think the great idea to have here would be a visual with a drill down. So I can look at, different games and see how many participating countries or athletes were there. So, and this is going to be the first level, going to show these numbers per games. But then if you drill down, you can going to see these numbers per each sport, right? And this is a simple way of doing this. Is right? I just realized there is actually missed one thing here. So we have these numbers for participating in countries and athletes is for each sport, so it's not really correct to sum this up. So we're going to come up to, so we can create something different then, I guess. Yeah, but I'm just going to show you the idea, because and then you can just play with it when you're building your own reports. So I'm going to use combo bar here. So let's say what makes sense for the drill down. What we can do, let's say another regional aspect here. We can do continent, country, and city. city. Right, those are going to be our categories. And then for the series, I just want to sum up how many games we had. So something like this. So, and so when you drill down, you just have another layer to explore and see, and everything else is interacting and responding to that filtering, right? So you can quickly see, okay, in Italy we had 2 games, Rome in 2 cities, Rome and Turin. You can see where it is on the map, and you can see which years it was. So everything works perfectly together. Yeah, for the sports, that's another dimension you can do. You can add sports here. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't want to delete this. Yeah, another dimension that would work here perfectly would be sort of sports, for example. What kind of different sports were done in different games. So that's for this page. So another kind of map we can try and build is for the athletes and medals. So it's this one. Maybe just so to save a bit time for you, and so you don't have to see me clicking different settings through all of this. I'm just going to explain what exactly was done here. So in this map, I am kind of showing, how many athletes and medals we have for each country. Right? So the winning ones, the winners. And what I'm doing here with the map is I am using the clustered nodes. That was the first step. But I also added another setting on top of that, which is called pie charts and nodes. So if I turn it off, I just have simple nodes here, right? And when I drill in, I see, the dots are split in smaller regions, and you can see for each country this information. Once you drill out, you see this information clustered for regions. So, for example, it's clear right away that somewhere, some kind of region in Europe is collecting the most number of medals throughout the years in Paralympics. But I'm choosing to this pie chart of nodes because it kind of shows you there are 3 categories how this number is split into, right? It's gold, silver, and bronze medals. So that's I think it's a nice feature again for interactivity and displaying information. To set this up, you will need to make sure you have a measure which is counting medals, because otherwise, if you simply use this medal count value, it's not going to work properly. It's just going to count nodes under each of these clusters, but not the actual value. So that's why you need this measure here. And you will have to add the category, to tell the pie charts in how many slices there are needed, how to split, what kind of categories there are. So once you have that, it's really, again, it's a customization with the shape layers. One other thing you can do with the shape layer is set this min or max zoom level. So right now it's not set, but let's say I want to make sure. Oh, I'm sorry, the wrong. I want to make sure that my map is a little bit zoomed in. So you can set this up maybe even higher. Let's see, sometimes we need to refresh something. Oh, yeah, for some reason it's not working. It's interesting. Okay, let's not get stuck to this. Sometimes I am using development versions of the visuals, and it's a work in progress all the time. So sometimes developers are still developing some new features and managed to break something here. But the idea is here with depth source visuals, it should work. You can set up the zoom level for your maps. So for example, if the zoom out version is not something you want to see, once you open the page, you can set the zoom level the way you want it. Yeah, and I think let's back it up. Yeah, you can change the colors for the slices as well. It's all available here, just a matter of customization. And for the map visual, we don't have built-in legends, so that is something you can build here, on your own, just with the shapes and text fields. That's really not that difficult. So another thing I brought here is, well, this time I used not the timeline, but I used the combo chart. So here we have row level data for each medal. So we can create this drill down. For example, I can here drill into 1980 year and select a specific sports, and you will see, what kind of medals were and who won. So to set up this particular visual, so there are two drill down levels, similarly what I showed with the pie chart previously, games, year, and sport. This time I didn't split this in two different series. I simply used the legend field to, show visually game season. So you kind of have, right now you see how many, and as the series, I use the count of sports. So you kind of see here, how many sports were in each year, and also whether it was a winter or summer. So you kind of can compare, how numbers of sports have changed over the years. So for example, at the beginning, there were far much less disciplines available than later on, right? And I think this is a good way and good place where to also insert a traditional table, because it just gives you a nice detail for information about each of the medals, right? And of course, this is all interactive. Everything can be filtered both ways. Yeah, so how much time do we have? Not that much. So for the country rankings, what can I mention here? Yeah, for the map visual, again, I really love map for this report. So I'm choosing to use it a lot. Here, another nice feature, once you have enabled the shape layer, is conditional formatting, right? So I can create the visual representation of ranking for each country in each year when the games happened. The data set we have, it only shows 10 first 10 countries, which is, I think it's also a nice way how to limit the things. You don't want to see all 70, 80, or 90 data points here. You just want to see the top 10. But with the conditional formatting, once you have the value here, what it does, it simply adds a shade to each country here, and so the countries with the most medals are the darker ones, and the ones with less medals are the lighter ones. So you can play around with color to get, the most effect you want here. The one thing I will mention, just sort of logical thinking here, is that the sort of the least number, in this case 1, is the country where you have the most medals. It's the highest in the ranking. So make sure you kind of swap these colors. So the min fill color actually should be the one where you have sort of the biggest number of medals, the highest rank. And here, let's add something more not so bright. So this is where you add the max, right? So another way how to utilize one of the features here. And one thing, also a nice setting to switch off is, so we treat empty shapes by default as the mean value, but we don't want that, right? Because those countries are not, we don't want them to be filled, so we can just switch this off. Yeah, and that's the result we get. Another thing for this kind of analysis, if you choose to do one for the rankings, right, the way at least I implemented this is that I'm using the whole data table, not really a lot of measures, just all the data, and you need to make sure that you filter out so the rank type is overall, because there is another one also available there, so don't mix and sum them up together. And so that's for the table. It's also for the map as well. And for the timeline here, I chose to use the timeline here. You need to make sure for this kind of analysis that there's always a year selected, right? So because otherwise it's gonna sum everything up together. Well, right, but rankings is not for all the period of time, it's just for that particular year. So in the timeline, what you can do, sorry, not the timeline, the combo, I mixed those up. For the combo, what you can do here, there is this use as filter option and remember selection option as well. And if you select a particular year and you turn this on, so when you walk away from the page and you come back, so the page is loaded for the first time, the 1 year will always be selected and the data will be shown correctly. If you switch this off, you will just get a lot of data points here, which is not the ranking you're looking for. Yeah, so I think actually I mentioned everything I wanted to share with you today regarding building this report. Let me quickly check if we have any questions so far. So not yet. Yeah, guys. So I think that's kind of it from my side. I'm just gonna show one ending slide here. Just a couple of things to remember on top of everything I kind of shared today. Of course, in the time we have here, we can't really show you everything, but don't forget about the reset buttons in your reports and adding proper navigation. Make sure you have consistency with colors. Don't use the same colors for different kind of data types. Keep the interactivity in mind when you build ZoomCharts reports. And of course, there's a lot of support and resources from our side available for you guys. So please reach out to us. There's a support channel, the email or the chat that's available. There are individual consultations. There are lots of resources, videos, documentation. So please use all of that in your journey together to better reports, right? So, guys, do you have any questions at this point? I know I talked a lot, but I really would like to know if you have something to ask. So, how do I get to use these charts? Okay, so with the developer license you have, once you log into Power BI, they actually will be available in your visualizations pane right away, ZoomCharts. visuals. If not, you can simply add them from app source. Okay, maybe I will quickly share to my screen again. So that's really easy way. So you go here, you click get more visuals in case they are not available there. And in app source, you search for ZoomCharts. Oh, sorry. ZoomCharts. And you just add the ones you want to your report. Simply as that. And they will show up here. Okay, do you have, thank you for the information session. Okay, guys, then if there are not any more questions, thank you for attending today. Yeah, there are links and resources in the chat as well. You can check out. And I can't wait to see all of your submissions. So thank you. Bye.